In the desolate expanse of the post-apocalyptic wasteland, Ava Lawson traipsed through the remnants of a once thriving metropolis. The sun's oppressive heat bore down on her, its rays casting long, twisted shadows from the crumbling skyscrapers that loomed overhead like skeletal giants. Jagged shards of glass and twisted metal littered the cracked pavement beneath her worn, scuffed boots. A guttural growl echoed in the distance, snapping Ava back to the present. The danger that lurked in every corner of this forsaken world was a constant reminder that she could never let her guard down. She clutched her trusty crowbar tighter, its weight a comforting presence in her calloused hand. Her piercing blue eyes scanned the horizon, searching for any sign of roaming scavengers or worse, the ravenous beasts that had emerged from the depths of the apocalypse. As she delved deeper into the ruins, her thoughts drifted back to a time before the cataclysm, to memories of laughter and love that now seemed like distant echoes from another life. She recalled the day she'd lost everything, her family, her home, her innocence, swept away in a torrent of chaos and destruction. Ava's voice, hardened by years of survival, whispered in her mind, "You can't afford to dwell on the past. Focus on the task at hand." The memory of her mother's tear-streaked face faded, replaced by the grim determination that had become her armor against despair. She'd learned to channel her grief into a relentless pursuit of survival, honing her skills as a scavenger to uncover the resources necessary to keep herself and her makeshift family alive. The sound of shattering glass snapped Ava back to reality. She ducked instinctively, pressing her back against the crumbling wall of a nearby building. Her heart pounded in her chest as she strained to listen for any indication of the threat's location. A faint rustling emanated from a darkened alleyway just ahead. Ava's grip tightened on her crowbar as she steeled herself for a confrontation. With a deep breath, she inched forward, her senses on high alert. As she approached the alley's entrance, her eyes narrowed, focusing on the shadows within. A flicker of movement caught her attention, and she sprang into action, lunging forward with her weapon raised. The figure in the shadows let out a startled yelp, revealing itself to be a young scavenger, no older than a teenager. His wide-eyed terror was a stark reminder of the world they now inhabited, a world where trust was a luxury few could afford. Ava's voice softened, but her tone remained firm. "I don't want any trouble. Just tell me what you're doing here, and maybe we can help each other out." The young scavenger hesitated, eyeing her warily before finally responding, his voice trembling. I'm just looking for supplies, same as you. Please, don't hurt me." She studied him for a moment, searching for any signs of deception. Satisfied that he posed no immediate threat, Ava lowered her crowbar and extended a cautious hand. "All right, kid. Let's see if we can find something worth salvaging in this wasteland together." As they ventured deeper into the ruins, Ava couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. A hope that perhaps, somehow, they might find a way to rebuild from the ashes of their shattered world. But the ever-present dangers that lurked in the shadows served as a sobering reminder that survival would always come at a cost. Amidst the desolate wasteland, where the skeletons of buildings loomed like twisted metal giants, Ava Lawson moved with the agility of a seasoned scavenger. Her eyes scanned the horizon, wary of threats that might lurk in the shadows. The wind howled through the ruins, carrying with it a fine dust that clung to her sweat-streaked face. A sudden glint caught her attention, and she paused, her heart pounding in her chest. She squinted, trying to discern the source of the reflection. As she cautiously approached, she found herself standing before an entrance hidden within the overgrown foliage. Beyond the tangled vines, a metallic door shimmered in the faint light, untouched by the ravages of time and decay. Ava couldn't suppress the curiosity that surged within her, her analytical mind already piecing together the puzzle. Who could have built this sanctuary, and why had it remained hidden for so long? She reached out, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the cold surface of the door. It swung open with a low groan, revealing a world untouched by the devastation outside. The air was still, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something else. Something that smelled like hope. Stepping inside, Ava felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The oppressive atmosphere of the wasteland seemed a distant memory as she gazed upon lush greenery and gently bubbling streams. This place defied all logic, a beacon of life amidst the ruins. Her determination grew stronger with each step, fueled by the secrets that lay hidden within this sanctuary. She would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The wasteland had taught her to be resilient, to never back down in the face of adversity, and she wouldn't start now. As she delved deeper into the unknown, Ava's thoughts raced with possibilities. What ancient technologies might she find here? What knowledge had been preserved from the cataclysm that had ravaged their world? With a steely resolve, she pressed onward, driven by the hope that perhaps, somehow, this sanctuary held the key to rebuilding a better future. The wasteland had hardened her, but it hadn't extinguished her belief in the potential for a brighter tomorrow. And she would stop at nothing to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within these walls. Ava's footsteps echoed softly against the cold, sterile floor as she ventured deeper into the sanctuary. The air was thick with a strange mix of anticipation and apprehension, the silence only broken by the distant hum of machinery. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman with short gray hair and piercing eyes that seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 secrets. "Who are you?" The woman's voice was stern, laced with an unmistakable wariness. Ava hesitated for a moment before answering, her eyes never leaving the stranger's face. "I'm Ava Lawson. I stumbled upon this place during a scavenging run." The woman studied her intently, analyzing every detail from Ava's dirt-streaked face to her worn-out boots. "What do you want?" "I want to understand," Ava replied, her voice steady and resolute. "I've spent my life surviving in the wasteland, and now I've found something that could change everything. I won't let that slip through my fingers without a fight." The woman's expression softened ever so slightly, a glimmer of understanding flashing in her eyes. "I see. I'm Dr. Lila Sinclair. I've been living here for quite some time, trying to make sense of the past and hoping to prevent history from repeating itself." As Ava and Dr. Sinclair continued their conversation, they slowly began to trust one another, their shared determination to uncover the truth creating an unlikely bond between them. Ava learned about the sanctuary's history, a secret research facility hidden away from the world, dedicated to developing advanced technologies that could reshape the future. But in their pursuit of progress, they had unleashed a cataclysm that brought society to its knees. Dr. Sinclair confided in Ava about her role in the facility's downfall, her voice tinged with regret as she recounted the events that led to the apocalypse. Ava listened intently, her heart heavy with the weight of the scientist's guilt, but her determination never wavered. "We can't change the past," Ava said, her eyes meeting Dr. Sinclair's with unwavering resolve. "But we can learn from it. We can use this knowledge to build a better world, one that won't repeat the mistakes of the past." Dr. Sinclair nodded, a glimmer of hope shining in her eyes as she agreed to help Ava uncover the sanctuary's dark secrets. Together, they delved deeper into the facility, unearthing ancient technologies and deciphering cryptic messages that hinted at the true extent of the organization's power. With each new discovery, Ava's excitement grew, her mind racing with possibilities as she pieced together the puzzle of the sanctuary's history. But she knew that the truth came at a price, and the closer she came to uncovering the sanctuary's secrets, the greater the danger she faced. As Ava and Dr. Sinclair worked tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of the sanctuary, they formed an unbreakable alliance, bound together by their shared determination to bring light to the darkness and create a brighter future for the survivors of the wasteland. Ava stood in the dimly lit chamber, her eyes scanning the ancient technology that surrounded her. She could feel the weight of the sanctuary's secrets pressing down upon her, a palpable presence that seemed to echo through the very walls. As she turned to face her new allies, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of unease. Milo Adams, the enigmatic scavenger with his sharp eyes and guarded demeanor, stood with his arms crossed, his gaze fixed on the artifacts before them. Nina Carter, the young and resourceful survivor, seemed almost childlike in her wonder, as she reached out to touch the cold metal of a strange device. And then, there was Cassie Wallace, the pragmatic and shrewd woman whose dry wit and sardonic humor belied the steeliness beneath her unassuming exterior. As Ava studied the faces of her newfound companions, she felt a knot form in her stomach. She knew that trust was a rare commodity in this world, and she couldn't help but wonder if these strangers were truly worthy of her confidence. "So, what do you think?" Ava asked, her voice betraying none of the doubts that swirled within her. "Are you all in this for the long haul?" Milo was the first to respond, his measured tones a stark contrast to the excitement that bubbled beneath Ava's surface. "I'm here for the truth, same as you. Whatever it takes to uncover the secrets of this place, I'm in." Nina nodded in agreement, her wide eyes filled with determination. "I want to help my community. If there's something here that can make a difference, I'm not going to walk away." Cassie's response was more guarded, her dry wit evident in her words. "I'm not one for blind leaps of faith, but I've got a feeling that there's more to this sanctuary than meets the eye. I'm not walking away until I've seen it through." As they began to explore the sanctuary's hidden chambers, Ava couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She glanced over her shoulder, her heart racing as she caught a flicker of movement in the shadows. But when she turned to look more closely, there was nothing there. The deeper they ventured into the sanctuary, the more ancient and cryptic the messages became. Ava's mind raced as she tried to decipher the complex symbols and patterns that adorned the walls, her excitement growing with each new discovery. She could feel the pieces of the puzzle slowly coming together, the fragments of the past coalescing into a picture that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying in its implications. But as they delved further into the sanctuary's secrets, Ava couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. She knew that the truth came at a price, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were playing with fire. As she looked around at her companions, she couldn't help but wonder if they were all ready to face the consequences of their actions. As they stood before a massive ancient door, covered in cryptic symbols and glowing with an otherworldly energy, Ava felt her heart race. She knew that whatever lay beyond that door could change everything, and she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and fear. "Are we ready for this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Milo, Nina, and Cassie exchanged nervous glances, but they all nodded in agreement. Together, they reached out and touched the door, their fingers tracing the intricate patterns as the ancient technology hummed to life. As the door slowly creaked open, revealing the chamber beyond, Ava felt a rush of adrenaline. She knew that they were standing on the precipice of something truly incredible, and she couldn't wait to uncover the secrets that lay within. But as they stepped into the chamber, their footsteps echoing through the darkness, Ava couldn't shake the feeling that they were being drawn deeper into a web of intrigue and danger that they might never escape. And as they stared at the ancient artifacts that lay before them, their eyes wide with awe and terror, Ava knew that they were all in this together, bound by their shared desire to uncover the truth and protect the sanctuary's secrets from falling into the wrong hands. But would their determination be enough to see them through the challenges that lay ahead? Or would they succumb to the darkness that threatened to consume them all? Only time would tell. The air in the sanctuary grew thick with tension as whispers of the organization responsible for the cataclysm began to circulate. Ava and her allies huddled around a makeshift table, their faces illuminated by the dim glow of a flickering lantern. Ancient artifacts and cryptic messages lay scattered before them, evidence of a past that threatened to unravel the fragile peace they had worked so hard to maintain. "We can't just sit on this information," Ava said, her voice barely above a whisper. Her hands trembled as she traced the intricate patterns etched into a piece of metal. "We have to tell the others." Milo shook his head, his brow furrowed with concern. "You know what will happen if we do. They'll panic, or worse, try to use it for their own gain." Nina crossed her arms, her eyes narrowed. "We can't keep this from them. It's not right." Cassie sighed, running her fingers through her hair. "Maybe we should just focus on figuring out what all this means before we decide what to do with it." As they debated, Ava couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She glanced around the room, her eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of danger. And then she saw him, lurking in the corner, his eyes fixed on her with an intensity that sent a chill down her spine. "Marcus." Her heart raced as she remembered the countless times they had faced danger together, their bond forged in the fires of adversity. But now, as she stared into his eyes, she saw something else lurking beneath the surface: betrayal. "Mark!" she hissed, her voice low and urgent. "What are you doing here?" He hesitated for a moment, his expression unreadable. And then, with a sigh, he stepped out of the shadows, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender. "I'm sorry, Ava," he said, his voice heavy with regret. "I had to see it for myself. I had to know." "Know what?" she demanded, her anger rising like a tide. "What could possibly be worth risking everything we've worked for?" He looked away, his shoulders slumping. "You don't understand. I have nothing left, Ava. No family, no home. I need to survive." As she stared at him, her heart ached with betrayal. She had trusted him, believed in him. And now, he was threatening everything they had built together. "You're wrong, Mark," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "You have us. You have me." But even as she spoke the words, she knew that they were no longer enough. The sanctuary was teetering on the brink of chaos, and she could feel the threads of her world unraveling around her. And as she looked into Mark's eyes, she saw the truth. The darkness that threatened to consume them all was not just outside their walls, but within their hearts as well. "I'm sorry, Ava," he said again, his voice barely a whisper. "I never meant for it to come to this." And with that, he turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving her alone with the crushing weight of his betrayal. As she stared at the empty space where he had stood, she knew that she would never be able to trust him again. But even as she grieved for the loss of her friend, she knew that she had to push forward, to uncover the truth and protect the sanctuary from the darkness that threatened to consume it. For the sake of her people, and for the memory of the world that had been lost, she would not give up. And so, with a heavy heart, she turned back to the table, her eyes fixed on the artifacts that lay before her. And as she began to piece together the puzzle, she knew that she was not alone. For she had her allies, her determination, and her unwavering commitment to seeking the truth. And together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the dimly lit chamber, the air thick with the scent of decay, Ava stood her ground, her eyes locked onto Mark's as he advanced towards her. The once trusted friend now seemed like a stranger, his intentions twisted and malicious. "I can't let you do this, Mark," she said, her voice steady despite the fear that gnawed at her insides. "These secrets, they're not ours to exploit." Mark's face contorted with anger, and he spat out his words. "You're just like her, aren't you? Always putting that sanctuary above the needs of the living." Ava felt a surge of resentment, but she held her tongue, her mind racing for a way to reason with him. "We can't sacrifice our morals for survival, Mark. There has to be another way." The tension between them grew palpable, the silence of the chamber only broken by the distant echoes of the wasteland outside. Ava's muscles tensed, ready for a fight, as Mark's hand inched towards his weapon. But before either could make a move, a sudden commotion erupted from the entrance of the chamber. A figure stumbled in, bloodied and battered. It was Dr. Lila Sinclair, her eyes wide with terror. "Reuben! Hayes!" she gasped, struggling to speak through her labored breaths. "He's coming!" Ava's heart sank as she rushed to Lila's side, her concern for her mentor overshadowing her conflict with Mark. But as she knelt beside the wounded woman, she caught a glimpse of the wound in Lila's abdomen, a gaping, jagged tear that told her there was no hope for salvation. Tears welled up in Ava's eyes as she cradled her mentor's head, the weight of grief pressing down upon her like a mountain. "No. Lila. Please. Not you." Lila's voice was barely a whisper as she spoke her final words. "Ava, you must protect the sanctuary, no matter the cost." As Lila's breathing slowed and her eyes glazed over, Ava felt a wave of despair wash over her. She had lost her mentor, her guiding light in this dark world. And with her last breath, Lila had placed the responsibility of safeguarding the sanctuary's secrets squarely on Ava's shoulders. But as she looked up, she saw Mark's face, twisted with grief and anger, and she knew that she could not do this alone. The conflict between them would have to wait, for now. United by their shared loss, they would have to face the threat that loomed over them. Reuben Hayes and the dark secrets he sought to protect. As Ava rose to her feet, her determination hardened like steel. She knew that she would stop at nothing to honor Lila's final wish. The sanctuary and its secrets would be protected, no matter the cost. A thick, suffocating silence enveloped the sanctuary as Ava sat hunched over a worn wooden table, her fingers tracing the grooves etched into its surface. The air was heavy with the weight of Lila's absence, and the once bustling sanctuary now seemed like a mausoleum. Ava's thoughts swirled like a tempest as she wrestled with her grief and doubt. Lila's dying words still echoed in her mind, a relentless drumbeat that refused to fade. You must protect the sanctuary, no matter the cost. The burden of responsibility threatened to crush her, but she knew that she couldn't afford to falter now. Not when the truth was finally within her grasp. She closed her eyes, drawing in a deep breath as she forced herself to recall the lessons Lila had taught her. The importance of perseverance. The necessity of unyielding determination in the face of adversity. It was time for her to put those lessons into practice. As Ava opened her eyes, her gaze fell upon an ancient tome resting on the table, its pages yellowed and brittle with age. It was a relic from a time long past, filled with knowledge that could reshape the world, or destroy it. And it was her responsibility to ensure that it didn't fall into the wrong hands. She reached for the tome, its weight a comforting reminder of the tangible nature of her mission. As her fingers brushed against the leather-bound cover, she felt a surge of resolve course through her veins. She would honor Lila's memory by uncovering the truth and safeguarding the sanctuary's secrets. But as she turned her attention back to the task at hand, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was amiss. There was a hidden piece of the puzzle that she had yet to uncover, and it gnawed at the edges of her consciousness like a ravenous beast. Milo entered the room, his footsteps nearly silent on the cold stone floor. "Any progress?" he asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. Ava tensed at the sound of his voice, her suspicions suddenly crystallizing into a stark realization. Milo had been with her every step of the way, guiding her through the sanctuary's hidden corridors and offering his expertise on the ancient technologies they'd encountered. But what if his intentions weren't as noble as they seemed? She studied him carefully, searching for any signs of deceit. His expression was inscrutable, his eyes betraying nothing. But as she looked closer, she noticed the faintest tremor in his hands, a barely perceptible clue that he was hiding something. "Milo," she began, her voice steady despite the turmoil roiling within her. "There's something I need to ask you." He raised an eyebrow, his gaze never faltering. "What is it, Ava?" She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the confrontation that was about to unfold. "I need to know the truth, Milo. Are you a member of the organization responsible for the cataclysm?" The air seemed to crackle with tension as they stood locked in a staring contest, the silence stretching out like an elastic band, threatening to snap at any moment. And then, with a sigh that seemed to deflate him, Milo nodded. "Yes, Ava, I am." The revelation hit her like a punch to the gut, knocking the wind out of her. She had trusted Milo, relied on him in her quest for the truth. And now, she realized that he had been playing her all along. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw a flicker of something that she couldn't quite identify. Regret? Sorrow? Whatever it was, it gave her pause, forcing her to reconsider her assumptions about him. "Why, Milo?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Why did you help me if you were one of them?" He hesitated for a moment, as if weighing his options, and then, with a slow, deliberate nod, he began to speak. "Because I believe that the truth should be revealed, no matter the cost. And I believe that you, Ava, are the one who can make that happen." As she listened to his words, Ava felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Perhaps Milo wasn't the enemy she had thought him to be. Perhaps he was an ally in disguise, a secret weapon in her quest for the truth. But as she looked into his eyes, she knew that she couldn't afford to take any chances. She would have to tread carefully, navigating the treacherous waters of trust and betrayal as she delved deeper into the sanctuary's secrets. And as she turned her attention back to the ancient tome, she knew that the stakes had never been higher. The fate of the world rested in her hands, and she couldn't afford to fail. With renewed determination, she opened the tome and began to read, the words on the page seeming to dance and shimmer in the dim light of the sanctuary. And as she delved deeper into the text, she felt the first stirrings of a plan taking shape in her mind, a plan that would uncover the truth, expose the organization's dark secrets, and bring about the dawn of a new era. But she knew that she couldn't do it alone. She would need allies, people she could trust to stand by her side in the coming battle. And as she thought of the friends she had made along the way, Nina, Cassie, and even Mark, she realized that she wasn't alone in this fight. Together, they would uncover the truth and bring about the change that the world so desperately needed. And as she looked at the ancient tome, she knew that their journey was only just beginning. In the dimly lit sanctuary, Ava, Nina, and Cassie huddled around an ancient map, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of a single candle. The air was thick with tension as they prepared for the final confrontation with Reuben Hayes and his forces. Ava's eyes scanned the intricate lines and symbols on the map, her mind racing to piece together a strategy that would protect the sanctuary and expose the organization's true intentions. Beside her, Nina clutched a small bag filled with makeshift weapons and supplies, her youthful optimism tempered by the gravity of their mission. Cassie, ever vigilant, stood watch at the entrance, her sharp eyes scanning the shadows for any signs of danger. As they gathered their resources, Ava couldn't help but reflect on the lessons she had learned throughout her journey. Her time spent scavenging the wasteland had honed her resourcefulness and determination, while her encounter with Dr. Lila Sinclair had ignited her insatiable curiosity and desire for understanding. And now, faced with the ultimate test, she knew that she would need to draw upon every ounce of strength and knowledge to ensure their survival. "We'll need to split up," Ava said, her voice steady and resolute. "Nina, you'll take the eastern corridor and secure the main entrance. Cassie, you'll cover the northwest passage and provide backup if necessary. I'll take the central chamber and try to disable their communications array." Nina nodded, her eyes filled with a mix of determination and fear. "What about Reuben?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ava's jaw clenched as she thought of the man who had once been an ally, now revealed as an enemy. "Leave him to me," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. As they dispersed, Ava couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in the pit of her stomach. The stakes had never been higher, and the weight of their mission bore down upon her like a crushing burden. But she refused to let doubt cloud her judgment, focusing instead on the task at hand. As they made their way through the winding passageways of the sanctuary, the tension grew palpable, each step bringing them closer to the inevitable confrontation. Ava's heart raced as she approached the central chamber, her senses on high alert for any signs of the enemy. The chamber loomed before her, a maze of ancient technology and cryptic symbols. Ava moved quickly, her fingers dancing over the controls as she worked to disable the communications array. But as she reached for the final switch, a sudden movement caught her eye. Reuben Hayes emerged from the shadows, his face twisted into a sneer. "You really thought you could stop us, Ava?" he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. Ava's eyes narrowed as she faced her former ally, her determination unwavering. "I won't let you destroy what's left of this world," she said, her voice filled with conviction. The battle that ensued was fierce and intense, a clash of wills and resources that pushed them both to their limits. Ava's years of scavenging and survival had honed her instincts, while Reuben's ruthless determination made him a formidable opponent. But in the end, it was Ava's unyielding resolve that proved to be the deciding factor. With a final, desperate lunge, she managed to disable the communications array, cutting off the organization's access to the sanctuary's secrets. As Reuben's forces retreated, Ava, Nina, and Cassie stood victorious, their hard-won victory a testament to their resourcefulness and determination. And as they looked out upon the devastated landscape, they knew that their journey had only just begun. Together, they would uncover the truth and bring about the change that the world so desperately needed. And as they looked at the ancient tome, they knew that their journey was only just beginning. The acrid scent of smoke hung heavy in the air, a bitter reminder of the recent battle. Ava's heart pounded in her chest as she stood before Milo, her once trusted ally now revealed as a member of the organization seeking to exploit the sanctuary's ancient technologies. "You've been lying to me all this time," Ava accused, her voice laced with a mixture of betrayal and anger. Milo's eyes, usually so guarded, betrayed a flicker of regret. "I had no choice, Ava. They have my sister." Ava's resolve hardened as she took in the sight of Milo, his face etched with desperation and resignation. She clenched her fists, feeling the weight of the decision before her. "Their plan is to reshape the world using the sanctuary's power," Milo continued, his voice barely above a whisper. "They believe that by harnessing the knowledge of the past, they can create a new order, free from the chaos that has consumed humanity." Ava's thoughts raced, her mind a whirlwind of possibilities and consequences. The temptation to use the sanctuary's secrets for her own community's survival was strong, but at what cost? "We can't let them do this, Milo," she stated, her tone resolute. "We have to stop them." Milo nodded solemnly, a glimmer of hope flickering in his eyes. "I know. I'll do whatever it takes to help you." As Ava looked into Milo's eyes, she saw the faintest glimmer of the man she had once trusted. With a deep breath, she made her decision. "Together, we'll expose their plans and protect the sanctuary," she declared, her voice steady and determined. "We'll make sure that the knowledge of the past is used to rebuild a better world, one where humanity learns from its mistakes and rises from the ashes." A sense of hope surged through Ava as she committed herself to this new path, her conviction unwavering. She would stop at nothing to ensure that the sanctuary's secrets were used for the greater good, and that the sacrifices made by those who had come before her were not in vain. Together, Ava and Milo would face the challenges ahead, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were fighting for a brighter future for all. Ava Lawson stood at the precipice of the sanctuary's highest vantage point, the cool wind whipping her ponytail against her dirt-streaked face. From this height, she could see the vast expanse of the wasteland below, its desolation a stark reminder of the world that had been lost. But as her gaze shifted towards the hidden oasis that was their refuge, a flicker of hope ignited within her. "We have a chance to make things right," she murmured, her voice barely audible over the wind. Beside her, Milo Adams nodded solemnly, the weight of their shared responsibility heavy on his shoulders. He looked out at the panoramic view, his eyes reflecting the determination that mirrored Ava's own. "We'll need to gather the others," he said, turning to face her. "Dr. Sinclair, Nina, even Reuben. Together, we can unlock the sanctuary's secrets and put an end to the organization's plans." Ava nodded, her mind already racing with the logistics of their mission. She knew it wouldn't be easy. Convincing Reuben to join their cause would be a challenge, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they would need his expertise and leadership in the days ahead. As they descended from the vantage point, Ava's thoughts turned to Dr. Lila Sinclair. She had always admired the scientist's tenacity and intelligence, and now more than ever, she needed her guidance. Together, they could decipher the cryptic messages left behind by the sanctuary's creators and ensure that its ancient technologies were used for the greater good. Nina Carter's optimism and resourcefulness would also be crucial to their success. Ava could still remember the first time she had met the young woman, her wide eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. She had seen something in Nina that day, a spark that reminded her of herself. And now, as they stood on the brink of a new beginning, Ava knew that Nina's unyielding spirit would be a valuable asset. Reaching the sanctuary's entrance, Ava paused, her hand resting on the cold metal door. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges that lay ahead. As she pushed the door open, she felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her. They would uncover the truth, expose the organization's dark secrets, and use the knowledge of the past to forge a brighter future for humanity. Inside, the sanctuary buzzed with activity as the inhabitants prepared for the tasks ahead. The air was thick with anticipation, and Ava could feel the tension building, like a storm about to break. As she made her way through the corridors, she exchanged nods and whispered words of encouragement with those she passed, her resolve strengthening with each step. In the heart of the sanctuary, Dr. Sinclair, Nina, and Reuben were gathered around a large table, their heads bent in deep concentration. They looked up as Ava and Milo approached, their eyes filled with questions and determination. "We're ready," Ava announced, her voice steady and unwavering. "We have a plan, and together, we're going to change the course of history." As the group exchanged nods of agreement, Ava felt a surge of hope rise within her. They were a formidable team, bound by their shared goal and united in their determination to protect the sanctuary and the knowledge it held. Together, they would uncover the truth and ensure that the sanctuary's ancient technologies were used to rebuild a better world, one where humanity learned from its mistakes and rose from the ashes, stronger and wiser than before. As the group delved deeper into the sanctuary's secrets, Ava couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the knowledge that lay before them. The cryptic messages and ancient artifacts held the key to a brighter future, and she was determined to unlock their secrets. With each discovery, the tension within the sanctuary grew, the air crackling with anticipation and excitement. They were on the verge of a breakthrough, and Ava could feel it in her bones. But as the hours turned to days, and the days to weeks, the true depth of the organization's deception became clear. They had infiltrated every aspect of the sanctuary's systems, their influence reaching far beyond what anyone had imagined. Ava's heart raced as she pieced together the puzzle, her mind working furiously to uncover their true intentions. The stakes were higher than she had ever imagined, and the weight of their mission bore down on her like a crushing force. But through it all, Ava's resolve never wavered. She knew that they were fighting for something greater than themselves, and she refused to back down. As the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place, Ava and her team prepared for the confrontation that lay ahead. They would expose the organization's dark secrets, put an end to their nefarious plans, and use the sanctuary's ancient technologies to rebuild a better world. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. They would stand together, united in their determination to protect the sanctuary and the knowledge it held. And as Ava looked into the eyes of her allies, she knew that they would stop at nothing to ensure that the sacrifices made by those who had come before them were not in vain. Together, they would face the challenges ahead, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were fighting for a brighter future for all. And in the end, as the sun rose over the post-apocalyptic wasteland, casting its golden light upon the hidden oasis of the sanctuary, Ava knew that the world would never be the same again. With hope and determination in their hearts, they would rise from the ashes, rebuilding a new world from the ruins of the old. And the sanctuary's ancient technologies would illuminate the way, guiding them towards a brighter, more prosperous future.